What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. But if you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too. And don't forget you can follow us on podcasts, although Spotify's messing me about right now. And you can also support the channel either by joining on YouTube membership or heading on over to Patreon. And just a huge thank you to each and every one of you for being here. I love you so much. And a massive thank you to two of our members, Jasmine Stanford, thank you very much for being with us. And also Red Panda, thank you for joining us yesterday. Means the world to me, you know that. And with that being said, let's get straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Resident Coat 5678. Am I the arsehole for proposing to my girlfriend in a way she didn't like? I, 34 male, have been seeing my girlfriend, 28 female, for 4 years. We've talked about marriage and kids in passing. It's always been something we're both open to, but we're both quite career minded, and that's been our focus. She and her brother often joke / complain about the pressure they feel from their parents to get married. He's been in a relationship longer than we have and still not engaged. And I've seen as well how it's something their parents drop unsubtle hints about all the time. I don't think they mean it to feel like pressure. They just want their kids to be happy and they want to be grandparents. Anyway, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I've reached that point in my life where marriage is increasingly appealing. I'm ready to make that commitment and I know she's the one for me. Her parents hosted a dinner party to celebrate us all being able to finally visit each other's houses again. It was me, my girlfriend, her brother, his girlfriend and our 3 sets of parents. It seemed perfect to me, so after dessert I got down on one knee and proposed. She looked pretty stunned and said, I guess, and everyone laughed. All the parents started celebrating, her mother was crying, her father was opening champagne, we were all hugging. We went home later and I told her how happy I was to spend the rest of my life with her, and she started crying, said she felt like she had no choice. This upset me. It was hardly the enthusiasm I had hoped for, and I asked if she loved me. She said she did, and maybe she did want to get married, but the way I proposed made it feel like her answer was a foregone conclusion, and she didn't have to think about it, and even now she knows that if she were to change her mind, she'd be letting everyone down and disappointing her parents. She said she'd wished I proposed privately so we could talk together about what it really means and what our future looks like, and she could be really 100% sure of her decision before announcing it to her family. She feels like I've removed her opportunity to prepare for her parents' reaction and make sure she was saying yes because she wanted to, instead of expectation. She says she's less sure than ever about our relationship because of the proposal, shows how little I know her or what she wants. I thought I was being romantic, and even if it wasn't her ideal proposal, I don't see why that should affect her answer. Our relationship's about more than just one evening. Am I the arsehole? A little bit of a sad one because you can sort of see this person, I think their heart is in the right place, you know, they love this person, they want to celebrate in front of their family and be romantic and all that kind of thing, which is pretty sweet, but you never jump in without a pre-discussion about it first, knowing that they're 100% going to say yes and they're not going to feel awkward about it. You even said about the pressure they feel from their parents about getting married, so she absolutely felt like she had to say yes in that situation. And something inside me is saying, like, what if she did say no in that situation? You'd feel absolutely heartbroken, and would you want to be with her still because you'd think that she's totally not in love with you? It's not a fair situation to put her in, and simply for that reason I'm going to have to say you are the arsehole. I think from her previous complaints you should have done it in a private space and then you'd have been able to get a true reaction from her. So let's go down to the comments below to see what we can find. Howard Project says, you're the arsehole. You really should have been paying more attention to these discussions on how much pressure their parents have put on them to get married and how uncomfortable that is. Asking in front of people who pressure her to get married was probably the absolute worst way to propose to this woman. Scott Evil 110 says, it pains me to say this, but you're the arsehole. She has a point. When I saw the title, I was ready for a story about some entitled girl who was mad at you didn't make some huge grand gesture with fireworks and shit. But she has a point on this one. By making a public spectacle out of it, you really did force her into a corner. Saying no in that situation is incredibly awkward, to the point that most people couldn't bring themselves to do it. And now, as she said, she feels kind of trapped into it because of all these people saw her say yes and all got excited about it. Not gonna lie, I did the same thing, too young, and she ended up breaking it off. Not saying that's gonna happen to you, but the yes in that case didn't mean a lot. She just felt compelled to say yes. Godzilla Suit says, "You're the arsehole," and quotes a section and replies to this saying, "Look at all the I and me words in here. Not once is there a we, us or our word. You are only thinking about what you want, and you never once stop to communicate with her about what she wants. You make it sound like you looked at your to-do list one day, saw the marriage and family were next, and you just shrugged and said, okay, I guess that's fine, and I guess you're fine. Look, it's okay if the proposal itself is a surprise, but the idea of it should not be. You two should have had a discussion about where you both are in a relationship and where you see it going from there. There needs to be an agreement to get married before a proposal. You've watched too many bad movies romanticising unhealthy relationship dynamics. I mean, you didn't even bother to find out what kind of proposal she would have wanted. You did trap her and put her in an incredibly unfair position by blindsiding her with this in front of the family. No man, just no. Anyway guys, I turn this first story to you. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. Our next story is from another birthday ever. Am I the arsehole for telling my family I wish they'd die and go to hell for throwing a birthday party? I know title sounds bad, please hear me out. I, male 29, grew up with 5 siblings and skewed family dynamic. They were bullying, neglect, minor abuse and blatant favouritism. We'll be leaving out much. My narcissistic sister's, female 34, birthday is 4 days before mine, so birthdays were one celebration. If she didn't get her way, she'd throw tantrums, so our parents just gave in. It was always on her day. She got to pick food, activities, cake, always meringue, chocolate, yuck, etc. I was an afterthought. She got everything she wished for, even a moped. I did get gifts too, but only necessities. Clothing, linen, shoes, etc. At 11, I got buckets of paint for the chipped ceilings in my room and called ungrateful for not being excited. On my birthday, no one ever said happy birthday, and I had to collect cans in the ditches to buy myself a magazine. Next year, I boycotted it, snuck out, biked to a wind shelter, and only went home when I was starving. Just my granny had been worried. Mum said, "Open your present at least." I did, just so I could leave. It was one big box. Inside was a computer, monitor, etc., even a modem. Mum said, "It's staying in the living room, and we all share it. So you haven't gotten me a computer, you've gotten the family a computer." Then she replied, "Don't be selfish and ungrateful, or you won't get to use it." I left, sat on my bed feeling numb. I decided I hated my birthday. I would never celebrate it again. I refused everything birthday related, even got into a few fights with my family, but finally they let me be. Moved far away at 17, only minor contact with family. Got a girlfriend, fiance, and she's accepted my stance, as have my friends. Got a good job offer in my hometown 4 years ago. We moved and basically no contact with family here. Last week, mum and sis came unannounced. They've, sis, planning a huge joint party. She has this idea of a 65-year retirement theme. Retirement age of 65. Didn't even ask, they assumed I'd be excited and went on about planning pun-based activities. Nursery home COVID masks? I was silent and felt rage building up until I exploded and screamed at them, how they destroyed my childhood then. I wish all of you would just die and go to hell like the soul-sucking monsters you are. My fiance crying told them to go and pulled me inside. I was enraged, thought a heart attack was coming. Fiance managed to calm me down, then I just cried. Every piece of neglect and abuse during my childhood swirled through my head. My phone blew up with extended family saying I'm a heartless piece of shit. Even my granny said she was disappointed in me for treating my mum that way. My fiance is on my side and said while it was hurtful things, it's no more than they've hurt me. But even people I got along with well saying I should apologise. I don't want to, but should I? I don't feel like I should have to. They had it coming and never want to see them again. But I do want to maintain a relationship with the relatives I like. I just feel like a mess. Am I the arsehole? Wow, this is an incredibly sad story. I mean, the words he said, were they too harsh? I wish they'd die and go to hell. Maybe not from the way he's been treated. You know, you can understand someone just exploding at some point and letting it all out. I think that's what needed to happen. People's emotions just build up and then they just release. And I think they needed to hear that as well, because they clearly don't have a clue. Well, I think so anyway, that they don't have a clue how much they've hurt you in the past. That's ridiculous. However, I'm no doctor, but OP does sound like he needs some sort of therapy or something to help him get him through this, because it's clearly going around his head constantly. Wow. Let's go down to the comments below to see what we can find. Mooseblood07 says, "Not the arsehole. You are bound to break down at some point with everything you went through. I'm sure there's much worse and more things you didn't include that made your reaction so extreme. Explain to the relationships you want a relationship with why you said that. If they don't sympathise with you and understand where you're coming from, then you might be better off without them. I'm so sorry this happened to you, OP, but I'm glad you have such a supportive and understanding partner. OP basically replies saying, yeah, there was a lot more going on, but due to the character limit on Reddit, they couldn't say all of it. 420 says, I definitely think you need therapy for what happened. You're obviously still holding on to a lot of resentment and anger towards them. You'll feel 100% better if you go to therapy and go completely NC. By the sounds of it, there's no point in seeing them anymore anyways. Sharp Review says, not the arsehole, and that's a dumb theme. I've been thinking too much says, not the arsehole, your pain is palpable. 17 years low to no contact, and they felt comfortable coming to your house with party plans. What were they thinking? Maybe tell preferred relatives that you regret saying all of you, because obviously you've chosen for a long time to distance yourself from the offending too. You appreciate the relationships you've had with respectful relatives and hope they understand your small lapse. I really wish you the best. Consider just a couple of therapy appointments so this shit doesn't come out sideways again. And I'm going to turn this story to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole? Ungrateful Daughter. Am I the arsehole for calling my heavily pregnant daughter ungrateful? I got pregnant as a teenager. Both me and my boyfriend, now husband, John, were kicked out of our homes and had to find a place. We did, but rent and bills were a struggle. He worked very long hours and I pretty much worked through my pregnancy, was back at work days after our daughter Laura was born. I used to have to hand it to friends / relatives to look after, which I hated. John worked hard in construction and learned many trades which pay him very well. I studied part-time for an accounting degree while working and now work in that field. We're able to give Laura a comfortable upbringing and also make time to give her the love and support she needed growing up. But I will always regret the time I never got to spend with my newborn. Laura is now 33, she studied medicine, worked her way up through the field and is already in a high ranked position. She is beautiful and we're very proud of her. She met a lovely man, Tom, they got married and she's now 9 months pregnant. I visited them yesterday. Laura's been on maternity leave for the last few months, but she's had something I found shocking. Once the baby is born, she's intending on returning to work at the earliest possible opportunity, likely days after the baby is born. Laura said she misses work, and while she's very excited about becoming a mother, she can't wait to get back to doing what she loves. That wasn't the only reason. I'll be honest to say that we did spoil Laura when we was growing up. She is very materialistic and loves fashion, makeup, shoes, etc. She said she misses looking glamorous / professional and wants to feel beautiful again. She's too swollen to wear heels, which she's very frustrated about, and has been wearing Tom's t-shirts everywhere. I was so annoyed at what she said. She could easily take a few months off, but is choosing not to. It's not that the baby won't be looked after. Tom is working from home at the moment and will be for the foreseeable future, but pregnancy is physically and mentally exhausting. I won't pretend to know anything about what she does, but someone with her knowledge, she should be fully aware that she won't be in a fit state to do such complex work immediately after birth. I've told Laura for years that my biggest regret is not spending more time with her when she was a newborn. Laura didn't listen to anything I said and continued with the shallow, materialistic excuses. I was so upset. I told her she was an ungrateful brat who never understood the sacrifices that we made for her. She's quite emotional at the moment, so this made her burst into tears. Tom asked me to leave until we both calmed down. John thinks I should apologise. I will because she is pregnant and I don't want to cause trouble, but I don't think what I said was wrong. She's doing something stupid that she'll regret for the rest of her life, and somebody needs to make her see sense. Now, I'm coming from a position that knows not much about pregnancy, but I think pregnancy is a very personal thing. If you want to go back to work, if you can of course, straight after, then so be it. But I'm imagining here, so to shoot me down if you want to. But I imagine feelings change when you've had the baby, when you've got the baby in your arms, lots of things will change. So she might want to stay at home afterwards, she might be very close to this baby and want to stay at home and look after it, which fair play to her. But if she also wants to go back to work at the earliest possible, because that's good for her mental state, then absolutely go back to work as well. Just because the mum of Laura feels so guilty about what she did, doesn't mean she should project that onto her daughter, because that's not a healthy thing to do, and it just puts guilt on her, which is incredibly selfish. And for a woman who's pregnant, wanting to feel beautiful again, not that they're not beautiful when they're pregnant, but wanting to feel that way after the baby's been born, can you blame them? 9 months of, I know some people carry it really well and they love being pregnant, but some people, it must be a drag. I couldn't imagine being pregnant. Imagine just being hot all the time and having this weight on the front of you. God, man, I couldn't imagine doing that for 9 months. Oh, no, thank you. And like she said, too swollen to wear certain shoes. Fucking nah, man, no, not for me. So you can't blame Laura for just wanting to feel some normality again. But as I said, it might all change once she has the baby. She might feel completely like, I've personally seen it where like they said that they want to go back to work after a certain amount of time, like pretty soon after the pregnancy. But as soon as they had the baby, they're like, no, I want to stay at home and just look after this baby, you know, and whatever floats your boat, you know. But let's go down to the comments to see what we can find. Sublimination Station says, you're the arsehole. Stop projecting your guilt and regrets on your daughter. She's excited to return to something that makes her happy, and that happens to be a career. If she wants to stay at home permanently, I doubt you would object to her decision. Skitten says, you're the arsehole and apparently trying to live vicariously through your daughter. Just because you would have wanted the time off doesn't mean it's right for her. Her pregnancy isn't about you, and you're an arsehole thinking you know better than she does what is best for her. Socialist7878 says, you're the arsehole, this is on you. You spoiled her when she was growing up. You raised her to be materialistic and you raised her to be an ungrateful brat. This is on you. Heck, she doesn't even sound materialistic and ungrateful. It seems more like you are exaggerating to make yourself look like the victim. If she wants to go back to work, that's her choice. That's something she enjoys, and who are you to try and take that away from her? You gave your advice, she listened to it, and decided not to follow it. That's her choice, not yours. Honestly, I hope that once the child is born, Laura will leave you and not talk to you again, as you clearly are a terrible person, and I doubt she would want you around her child after what you said. You clearly are far from a good influence for that child. And I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from Colette195. Am I the arsehole for telling my relatives how much I make and defending my salary? Over the weekend, I, 23 female, went to dinner with some of my dad's relatives, who I don't see very often. My dad has never gotten along with my uncle, his brother, and I haven't either. He's rude, condescending, and we don't agree with him on a lot of things. Normally I just try to ignore him. However, at dinner, my uncle asked me about my car I'd shown up in, and my new job. I started my job a little over a year ago after graduating college, and I worked hard for it. I make a lot of money, and I'm proud of that. Software engineer. I recently bought myself my dream car I've always wanted. Uncle asked, how much are they paying you anyway? In a condescending tone, and I just point blank told him how much I make. I guess I was supposed to laugh and say something like, oh enough, but I told him the number. He started going off on a rant about how no 23-year-old should make that much money and how stupid my company is for paying me that much. I got pissed and said, I deserve every penny I make. I work hard and most people can't do what I do. Well, I guess this really made my uncle angry, because after dinner I received a text from my cousin saying that I'd been really rude at dinner and insulted my uncle's intelligence. My dad sided with me, since he hates my uncle anyway, but my sister agreed with my cousin and said I shouldn't have said how much money I make or talked to my uncle in the way I did, because it was impolite. Am I the arsehole? Edit, wow, I didn't expect for this to blow up. Thanks for the responses everyone. I feel justified in how I reacted now. For more info on my uncle, he's a retired airline pilot, so I don't think he's even jealous/bitter on how much I make. He's just a jerk. In my opinion, I think this is a very quick, you're not the arsehole in this situation. He asked, you told him, he didn't like the answer. Very jealous, I think. And I think OP should be proud of what they do. Software engineer, not an easy job, and they work very hard in what they do, and they deserve to be paid for what they do, basically. So you should be very proud of that, and if someone's trying to make them look an arse, call them out on it. Simple. Let's go down to the comments below to see what we can find. Naya Genesis says, not the arsehole. He asked a question, you answered. He insulted you and you defended yourself. Don't dish it out if you can't take it, is my motto. Nicholas Beige says, not the arsehole. Typical boomer bullshit. You work hard and have skills that companies are willing to pay for that much for. Good for you. It's not like you were rubbing it in his face either. He was pushing the topic. This just reeks of jealousy, pettiness and insecurities of your uncle. He was being rude, not you. Artist Dude Mayhap says, not the arsehole. Text him every time you get a raise. I like that. A bit of petty revenge in there too. So I'm going to turn this story to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you for being here today. Thank you for the time out your day. It is truly, truly appreciated. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting that like, subscribing, and maybe hitting that notification bell too, so you get updated every time we post a video on the channel. And hopefully, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love to you. Goodbye.